What's going on, guys? Welcome back for episode 15 of Divine Journey 2. First, we're actually going to need to progress through chapter 13 here, all the way until we get to the ME interface from Applied Energistics. And in order to do that, we're going to need to build a couple of these thermal evaporation towers. These are actually pretty simple to set up, and since I crafted up a bunch of elevatium in between episodes, we should have everything we need to craft these. Let's start off by getting a heat collector, and then upgrading that to a fuel wood heater, and then we can upgrade it one more time to a resistive heater, followed by a stack of thermal evaporation blocks, which are needed to craft the thermal evaporation controller and the thermal evaporation valve. And we're going to set these up in this room that I built in between episodes. So starting out, we just need a base. It's going to be 4x4 of the thermal evaporation blocks. Actually, these controllers need to be a part of this 4x4. That's on me. So then we just fill in the walls with these blocks. And I believe they need to be at least 3 blocks tall to complete the multi-block, but we're probably going to take them up a little bit higher than that so they can operate a little faster. And then they need these thermal evaporation valves in between. We'll get one. We're actually going to put these a little closer to the back. Alright, now I have all the thermal evaporation valves in. Then we just need to bring these up to at least 3 blocks tall. And now that they're 3 blocks tall, you can see the multi-blocks formed and the temperature is rising. And we're actually going to need 2 more thermal evaporation valves so that we can bring the heat in with our resistive heater. Okay, the resistive heater actually needs to be turned this way so that the white part on the sides can actually face towards the valves. And then we're going to need to bring in a little bit of power from the bottom. Now that that's hooked up, the temperature in our thermal evaporation towers are actually going to continue rising. They were capped out at around 315K. And in order to change the temperature of this, you can actually come in here and set an RF per tick usage, but 100 RF a tick should be more than fine for now. And this first tower is going to need water as input, so we're going to use an unending bowl. Now that that's going in here, it's going to get converted to brine, and we're going to pull that brine out into the second one, which is going to convert it into liquid lithium. And to convert that liquid lithium into gaseous lithium, we're going to get a rotary condensator. We crafted this up in a previous episode. We're going to get the rotary condensator down here, and then connect that up with a couple more fluid conduits, and toggle the operation so that it makes regular lithium, which we're going to buffer in an ultimate gas tank. And the reason we need to buffer this is because it has 2 different machines it needs to go into. One is the solar neutron activator to make tritium, and the other one is the chemical crystallizer to make lithium dust. And with a couple of ultimate gas tanks, some cosmic alloy enhanced machine chassis, and some ultimate control circuits, we can craft our chemical crystallizer, which we can put down on this wall right here, and connect up with some energy conduits, as well as some gas conduits. These gas conduits are running all the way over from the tank, which we need to make sure is always extracting. And actually, these gas conduits need to hook into the left side because that's the only side it can accept gases from. And with that lithium going in there, it's very slowly going to make us lithium dust, which we're going to have output to a drawer with a storage downgrade on it, so it can only hold 64 of these. So I've had this chemical crystallizer running for a few minutes now, and we only have 17 lithium dust. Right now, the bottleneck is the lithium, so we're going to come over here and increase the production on that to probably 500 RF a tick. We can drop this back down later once we have a little bit built up. And now that we have a little bit of lithium, we can start working on crafting our solar neutron activator. The lithium is actually needed for these lithium ingots in the induction cells, which come from smelting down the lithium. I went ahead and crafted up all the basic induction cells. It was just pretty deep crafts because of the amount of energy tablets that don't stack in my inventory. But now that I got those, we should be able to craft our advanced induction cell, and then our solar neutron activator. And I also just realized that this quest for lithium gives us 12 thermal evaporation blocks, so we'll claim that, which gives us just enough to increase the height of these evaporation towers one more time. Now we can go and get some more gas conduits down, and then throw the solar neutron activator on top. That's going to start filling it with lithium, but it also needs skylight access, so we'll post a hole in the roof right here and just replace that with glass, which should mean we're getting tritium in here now. That tritium is going to need to be paired with deuterium so that we can make DT fuel. We're going to do that in a chemical infuser, which once again needs ultimate gas tanks and cosmic alloy, but we should be able to go ahead and craft this, which is a quest, but first we're going to need to get into this filter upgrade. So let's craft one of those real quick. And boy is this filter upgrade expensive. It doesn't look like it is off the bat, but then if we go to this blank dark steel upgrade, which it needs 64 dark iron bars, 32 energized dark dust, and 4 mithril. We're going to throw all of those into the alloy smelter. And with this blank dark steel upgrade, we should now be able to craft our filter upgrade. And this filter upgrade needs to go into an electric pump, so let's go ahead and get one of those as well. So for this setup, we're going to need to have access to both sides of this chemical infuser. So we're going to put that right here. We'll have one input come in from this side, and the other input come in from this side. And I guess it's actually going to need to be the other way around because the output is going to come out the front here. Then we can get our electric pump down just to the right of it. It does need a little block gap though because we're going to have to run our conduits through here. And then underneath this electric pump, since it already has the filter upgrade, it's going to separate heavy water from regular water. We can throw a water bucket below it. Then each of these machines is going to need some power. So we should be able to connect those up on the back sides of these. This one's getting power, and this one's getting power, and it is very slowly producing us heavy water. Okay, so I was wrong before. This electric pump is not actually going to go straight into this chemical infuser. It's going to go into an electrolytic separator. We crafted one of these up in the last episode. Right now I'm just letting it burn through the extra water that's in it. And once it goes into the electrolytic separator, it's going to give us deuterium and oxygen. Alright, so I just crafted up this gauge dropper. It's a really simple recipe. And maybe this will let us pull all the water out. It only lets us pull out 1,000 at a time. And I'm not sure how to empty this thing. Oh, you just shift right click with it? Okay, well, that'll at least be a little quicker than waiting on it. Okay, so now that I have all the water drained out of the electrolytic separator, we're going to place it facing this way. It's a little weird, but we're going to make it work. So now we need to pull fluids out of this. Is that going to let me? Oh, it just lets me put it right into the back of it. Well, that's nice. I was thinking it needed to go into the front. So we can pull fluids out of this. I guess it's because this is always ejecting is the reason that it's working without setting the extract and inserts, but I'm going to set that anyway. And then the deuterium we're going to need to pull out of this side and bring it down into this side of the chemical infuser. And we'll just dump excess oxygen, but we should be able to extract that with a couple of gas conduits. And we're actually going to put this one on the black channel. Then we need to bring the tritium over into this side of the chemical infuser. And we'll actually just buffer that tritium with a basic gas tank and extract from it on the orange channel, which now means our chemical infuser is producing DT fuel, which we are going to send up into our pressurized reaction chamber that we crafted in a previous episode, which we'll do with some gas conduits on the magenta channel. And we're doing all of this so that we can make steaming redstonia, which comes from empowered redstonia, DT fuel, and steam in the PRC. We have the empowered redstonia and DT fuel already. Now we just need to get steam. And for that we're going to use the boiler multi-block from Mekanism, which means we're going to need some boiler casings. We'll start with 36, and some structural glass. We'll start with 24 of those, as well as 2 boiler valves, 4 superheating elements, and 4 pressure dispersers. Looks like I need some more enhanced machine parts. Alright, I went ahead and got the rest of the pressure dispersers crafted up, and now the last thing we need is a resistive heater. And with all of that stuff crafted up, we should be good to start building this thing. So we're going to go ahead and get our boiler casings in a pattern like this. And we're going to do a 4x4, and then we're going to do it, let's see, we're going to do it 5 blocks tall. And we'll just fill in the rest of this frame here, as well as the bottom and the top. Then we'll get our pressure dispersers down on the top layer, and the superheating elements down on the bottom layer. And we're going to need one of each of these to be touching a boiler valve. And finally, we can just fill the walls in with glass, or structural glass. And once we get through with all of these, hold on, let's get this last side. That should complete our multi-block. Now that our multi-block's complete, we need to get our inputs going. So we'll go with another unending bowl and a fluid conduit. That fluid conduit's going to insert water into the thermoelectric boiler. You can see it starting to fill up. Very slowly though, this thing holds a lot of water. Then we should be able to get a resistive heater down here. That's going to start increasing the temperature of our boiler. Once this reaches around 375, I want to say, it's going to start boiling into steam. We should be able to boost this by giving it some more RF per tick. That's going to go up much faster. Ah, yes. Right here at 373 Kelvin, we are starting to produce steam, which we can pull out of this boiler valve that's touching the pressure dispersers. I actually just moved this from over here, just so we could route it into the floor a little bit easier, which we're going to bring up this back side and into the top of the pressurized reaction chamber, which is now filling with steam. And the only thing left to do is throw in a little bit of empowered redstonia to get our steaming redstonia crystals. From there, we can just filter that into a drawer with a storage downgrade on it and use those to craft one block of steaming redstonia, which we'll use for a laser base. And then we also need 4 laser drills. And then we can pop over here to the end. I actually reworked our Enderman farm in between episodes just so we could get even more ender pearls. It's just running a little bit more efficient now. Not too crazy. I think really what the bottleneck was is that I didn't upgrade the drawer on the other side. But we're going to take these and we're going to put them down right here. Because if we use this in the end, actually it'll probably be easier if I just type it in. We can get iridium ore at a 100% chance in the end, rather than if we set it up in the overworld, we'd be getting multiple different kinds of ore even though we're looking for iridium. And I think I may need one of these white laser lenses too, which requires some pink slime and some plastic. So I'm gonna go craft one of those real quick. All right, I got my white laser lens crafted up. So this setup is pretty simple. We're gonna get the laser base down in the middle. And then I believe these have to be placed like that so that this little hole faces towards the middle. Now we're gonna get one of these on each of the 4 sides of this. I believe in newer versions of modded Minecraft, you can actually place quite a few of these. I want to say like 9 on each side. But we can get these set up. And each of these is going to need a little bit of power. So I'm going to go down underneath and place my power cell and run some conduits to each of these. And now that I have power connected up, this thing is working. It is pretty slow though. So we're just going to have to wait a while until we can get some iridium ore. And then we can filter that into here as well and send it back to our main base. We just got our first iridium. And I believe it's 100% chance now. You just have to make sure that the drill depth is at least 5, or I believe it goes all the way up to 68. And then we can add that back to this basic item filter, which is going to come back to a drawer here in our main base. And it's going to need to be filtered into one of our enrichment chambers. So I'm just going to replace the draconium ore in this since we don't get much of that. And that's going to give us 2 iridium ingots for each ore. And we're going to do another drawer over here for that. Then we need to grab 4 of these out of our ME system to complete the quest. And now that we have a good amount of iridium production, we can alloy that with some osmium to get osmiridium, which is going to need to go into an inscriber with a methodology press. And that's going to give us methodology processors. That gave us another trophy, so we'll get that down right here, which finally unlocks aid to autocrafting. This is going to be awesome. But first we're going to start with just some ME interfaces. One should do us for now. If we pop back here behind all our machines, we can get this down on an ME cable. It's going to use 1 channel. Inside this ME interface, we have 9 slots that we can use to automatically bring items over here from our ME system. For the first 5, we're going to go with diamonds, iron, coal, redstone, and osmium. And before we start filtering those items in, we're going to need to block off these drawers so that they're not filling up with 32 stacks of each of these. We can do that with some storage downgrades and upgrades. So basically the way this works is you put a downgrade on it to reduce it to a single stack. And then once it's reduced down, you can multiply it by 2 or 4 or 32 times depending on how much you want in the drawer. You would just put the respective storage upgrade in on top of it. So for reinforced alloy, we're going to limit this one to 1 stack. The other 2 alloys, we are going to limit to 4 stacks. The steel, we'll leave that at a stack limit of 32 because we use a ton of that. And then the basic control circuits and refined osmium, we will also limit to 4 stacks. And then back here from the ME interface, we're going to use the blue channel to extract and insert into the machines. Any machine that doesn't have a automatic output, we're going to use the black channel to extract and put into the drawers. And then anything that we need to pull from the drawers and put into a machine, we're going to use the white channel for. All right, I now have all of these filtered, except for the refined obsidian dust, because the refined obsidian dust is going to need pulverized obsidian, so we're going to need to automate that next. But the rest of these are fully passive, so we have passive steel, passive enriched alloy, passive reinforced, passive ultimate, basic alloy, so on and so forth. And we're going to do that with all 4 of the walls of this one, and we'll move into that one next. In order to passive pulverize obsidian, we're going to first need a passive lava. We'll do that with a lava fabricator with a portable tank underneath. Later on, we'll replace this with a black hole unit. I just don't really have the infrastructure for that right now. And naturally, we'll extract out of that machine into the tank on the orange channel. Then we'll get another igneous extruder down. We're going to set that to obsidian. And we'll bring water in from the back and lava in from the bottom. Now we should be making obsidian, which we're going to filter into a compacting drawer so that we can get the compressed obsidian. And we'll pull that obsidian into another enrichment chamber. And we'll have that pulverized obsidian output filtered in a drawer here on the left, which we can then send back over here to make refined obsidian. And to start finishing up our mechanism wall, we're going to need a couple of compressing factories down. We're going to use these to make refined obsidian ingots and glowstone ingots. So we'll send some osmium in from the left of these, and then get glowstone in our ME interface as well. We don't have this automated yet, but we have enough in the ME system that it's not going to make much of a difference. And let's go ahead and get our storage downgrades before we forget. And now that I have the items filtered from the back, all we got to do is filter the drawers. And now we have passive glowstone ingots and refined obsidian ingots. And I think that pretty much concludes everything we're going to get done in this episode. I really wanted to get both this section and this section done, but I mean, everything in this pack really just takes way longer than expected. Especially going over there and making the steaming redstonia, that took a lot of time out of here. I think at this point I've been recording for this episode for about 8 hours. But let's claim our unclaimed quest rewards real quick, and we'll see what we get. Everything you see here in my inventory above my hotbar is our claimed quest rewards. We got some pretty solid stuff this time around, but each episode we're getting less and less quests done, so we didn't get a whole lot of quest rewards, but the ones that we did get are pretty nice. But that's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you did, make sure to drop down and leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure to stay tuned, because in the next episode we're going to get a lot more passiving done. I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye.